Okay, guys, so we're going to continue with the last but certainly not least speaker for today. Please give it up for yours. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'm going to sit down because I thought it was going to be a good idea to show some of my 3D files as well. But I didn't know it was going to be a little bit drunk at around 11 o'clock. So if it's going to go wrong, you know why. Also, another issue I have to use the mouse and hold the microphone and do like Control F. So, I'm Joost, also known as Renascent. Renascent is just me. It's a one-man company. What I wanted to say before that was thank you for having me. Secondly, congratulations. How to please a crowd, right? So I have around like 3 hours prepared, but I was told I only have 30 minutes. So I just summed it up a little bit. I actually wanted to talk about 1 hour, how I wanted to be a truck driver. Best job in the world. A carpenter, and after that a comic book artist. Trying to become a comic book artist made me go to a design school, and that's when I got introduced with graphic design and motion design. And some of my early inspirations were Tomato. Anybody know of those? You have to be above 30. You see, I'm from '78, which means I'm an old guy, right? The Designers Republic, anybody? Well, you're also young, come on. The Bauhaus, everybody know Bauhaus? Nobody's been to school here, okay. Swiss graphic design, you know where is Switzerland? Okay, this is the worst crowd ever. All right, so I graduated in '99 doing graphic design and industrial design. Then I went on to 2 full-time jobs in a period of 2 years. So 2 full-time jobs, 2 times fired. And then in 2001, I started Renascent. After that, freelancing for 12 years. 2 cats, 1 girlfriend. I guess it would be strange if this would be a higher number. And my last showreel is from 2009. So let me just open it up and show you the kind of stuff that I'm doing. you. So I guess it's really time for me to update my portfolio, or at least my showreel anyway. So where I'm coming from, I was really inspired by the guys I just named, and in particular Virtual. And they were a group of guys just starting around like early 2000, 99, doing really cool abstract 3D stuff. And they really inspired me that much that I wanted to be able to recreate that kind of style. So this is just a series of images that from my early days of, being in a corporate job, wanted to express myself. I started to like mimic my heroes and trying to, kind of create my own crazy 3D abstract stuff. Moving on from that, from these kind of stills, I decided to, okay, so what's next? Let's try motion. And I'm going to show you an animation now, which I will just run through it by my mouse, because I was looking at it the other day, and I think it's not representative anymore. If I can get out of this, sorry. So it's the old stuff. It's this animation. I call it Genova. I did this in 2002. It's fucking 12 years ago, right? Look at the resolution on that. Come on. I'm just gonna slide through it. It's like basically what you see here, but in motion. I can do a little bit of. Yeah. And I would put this on my portfolio, and remember, this is 12 years ago. This is when you had like dial-up connection at like 65 KB a second. So it would take you like 2 weeks to download this. But for me, it meant the start of my career, because this was picked up by some really big agencies in the States. And they asked me, okay, well, you can do this abstract stuff. We have this project that would require that. So can you come to New York and do 5 television commercials for us? So I went, and things just really lifted off from there. I don't have those with me, so you just have to, believe me on that one. I'm just gonna show a few small animations that people that kind of know where I'm coming from, they would remember them. Maybe it's a little bit nostalgic, but it's old stuff, so bear with me, all right? So it's from 2003. I started, so I'm kind of mixing of what I'm showing here. It's either like a personal project or for clients. This was a personal project. My idea initially was to have this kind of like creature fully animated, but I didn't come very far. So the animation just became about the glitches and the fuck-ups, about trying to rig a character. Okay, so jumping further into that, I also have inspirations highly in like typography. So this is a small title I was asked to do for a documentary. So I'm just going to stop it in the middle. It's not because I don't like to play it, but it's more about trying to explain that I'm not so much a storyteller. I can just be really happy about looking at this frame. And with most of the projects that I do, it's more like an aesthetical approach rather than being extremely like a storyteller. Like especially the first guys you saw today, they like really nice little stories. And for me, it's more about creating those frames which look really beautiful to me. And this is, yeah, just an example of that. I could be really happy, going through this frame by frame. I should probably not have to open it in media player. But it's about all these kind of happy coincidences that happen, playing around with particles, charts, that kind of stuff. So there's a lot more stuff in this folder that I can show, but we're short on time. All of this, you can just check it out on Vimeo anyway. So let's go back here. So you can see a few more screenshots of stuff that I've done over the years. This is some more like recent stuff, which I can switch to, which is something for the Germans, for Arte. It's a series of idents for, I think it's 2010 till 2012 that they used these. Anybody familiar with the Arte channel? Good. Thank you. Where's Yorina? Is she in the audience tonight? She's one of my Facebook friends that said she would be here. She also worked on this project. It would have been nice if she would raise her hand, but maybe she's shy. Anybody work in 3ds Max here? I want to see some hands, because if I don't see any hands, I'm not going to show a lot of behind the scenes 3ds Max stuff. 1 guy, 2 guys, 3 guys, 4, okay. So shall I open up this project? I just thought it would be nice to also kind of see what goes on in 3D. And so the whole thing is just one setup. They were looking to have like a 3D interpretation of their logo. They wanted the logo to morph into some kind of like 3D weird sculpture. And it should be able to show live action. So just running through it here, you can see that the shape is growing. This is a new PC, by the way. It's fucking powerful. So yeah, it's just abstract stuff, right? And with some morphs, and then it goes back to the logo. Actually, I'm trying to keep it short. All right, let's move on. So I'm just going to show you some case studies from like recent projects that I've worked on, which I think are a little bit more interesting than going back to old stuff. So one of the recent ones was a project for Iris van Herpen. She's like this crazy fashion designer. Was anybody here last time when Jeffrey Lilleman was speaking? Yeah, you know how he gets, right? He's a really good friend of mine, and he asked me to work on this project. His ideas are like crazy. It's, you go to Titan, and the sky is purple, and we have this huge castle, and you have all these like crazy creatures inside, and they're inspired by the forms of the dresses. And anyway, you can see where her shapes are coming from, and he asked me to work on animated sculptures that would live within, we thought it was going to be this castle, but we ended up having to go way, way back to just some Renaissance stock stuff, to put it easily. So you can see some screenshots here. These are just like, prototypes of the shapes themselves. And here you can see the incorporation within the environment. Let me open it up. So I'm just going to show you a couple of test renders first. So it's no sound, it's just experiments trying to, kind of figure out how those shapes react to color and reflections. So I guess you can tell if you just looked at these images where the inspiration is coming from. It's quite literal, actually. So this is a test incorporated on like a Renaissance entrance. I don't take any credit for the environment because it's just Evermotion stock 3D stuff, and I only place the shape in there. So in the end, we had a lot of great ideas, but there was really no time, 0 budget. So it's kind of like all these passion projects which start huge with a lot of ideas on how great it could be, and then they end up being quite small. So what Jeff did was taking these environments, putting a glass shader on it, and edited it together. And I created my own piece where I'm just showing off the 3D shapes that I created. So I'll show it to you now. Anybody like to see this in the source? Yeah, at least one, so. I guess most of you guys are more like cinema 4D, motion graphic. He says yes. He's speaking for the rest of you. But I think those programs are probably quite similar. I'm not doing any big tutorials here. I'm just kind of showing like how it was made. So this is really just a series of splines. As you can see there, this is the way it will animate. So the render spline is what gives it thickness. So now you see what the actual spline is built of. And then you have some bending on it, and some twisting, and some noise. So it's not rocket science, it's just animating these things. So that's quite easy, right? Okay. Moving on. So another project was also for a fashion project. It's for Maya Hansen. You can see a few images here. She's doing these kind of like weird bikinis and corsets. And her idea, or that collection, was based on Pangea. And Pangea is when all the continents were still together. So I had this image inspire me based on all the colors which were happening, and it being one solid continent. So I thought it would be interesting as a teaser for this collection to have all of these continents grow and form a catwalk. So this is kind of like where the catwalk would be, and these are images that show all the continents growing. So again, it's not like some high, crazy concept. It's more about aesthetics, trying to find just some simple way of explaining the idea. Thank you. So the explosion in the end kind of, symbolizes that at some point all the continents break apart, forming the continents of today. And if you don't know what to do, just explode stuff. So this is a more like real like corporate kind of project. The Opus is it's like this huge building in Dubai, and right now it's kind of a fashion in Dubai not to build the highest building, but to take the most space and to use as less space as possible. So it's like kind of like saying we can use all this, but we're not. So this is the building. It's just a cube, and it's this big-time architect, Zaha Hadid something, who designed it. She's known for designing this table, which will set you back like 250,000 euros or something. She designed this building, and you constantly see this void space, which is like a Boolean out of the shape. It's super interesting, I think, and a really blunt idea. And the company who approached me is called XIII in Amsterdam. They did the print identity for it, so they came up with this logo, which is really, if you look at this side, you know, it's that shape. So they took the void shape and created the identity out of that. And then we sat together, and I knew I couldn't use any of the real elements to do the animation. So we had the discussion about being inspired by what if we were to animate the void space and having the void space transition into the logo. So that's what I'm going to show you. So there's, you know, small little projects. They, thank you. They pay the bills. On the world, I'm just gonna play this one. This one is really special to me because, as you maybe remember from the start of my presentation, on the world they're owned by Tomato, and Tomato for me has been like my biggest heroes ever. And I got to meet these guys in Istanbul when I was doing a workshop, and they were doing one as well. And we just got talking, and I told them, well, you know, if you ever want to do a music video together, you know, let's work together. And then 2 weeks later, they approached me, and they asked me if I had time. I said, well, I'm not sure. And what for? Okay, so Underworld wants a music video. Anybody know who's Underworld besides the vampire movie? Okay, yeah, it's like 30 years and up, man. There is big electro band. They've got this song called Born Slippy, which what got known from Trainspotting. Anybody know that movie? Yeah, come on. So for me, this was kind of like getting full circle with meeting the guys that you always looked up to, copied like a million times, and then being able to collaborate together. So this was nice for me as well, that I really enjoyed Underworld because I was already listening to them before I even knew about Tomato. And then getting a phone call one day from one of the guys from Underworld asking if I was interested in doing the music video is just, for me, a very special time. The collaboration from that part is I'm doing the audio reactive shapes in combination with some live action analog stuff, which is basically just hairlines coming in front of the camera. So I'm going to show you a couple of hairlines here. So these were provided by Tomato. And they supplied a whole series of these. And then what I started doing was just like sketching up weird abstract shapes that I would start to animate into 3D and then overlay the hair stuff on top of it, so it gets this kind of analog feel. And let me open it up. Thank you. So I have a few more small things. I'll speed it up a little bit. This is a project that I did for a really big company whose name I will not mention. And I was told I can't put it on my portfolio, but I can show it to anybody, which is kind of weird. It was a really interesting project because I got to work with a choreographer. He prepared this dance, so you got this whole bunch of professional dancers. We shot it on green screen, so I knew exactly what kind of moves they were going to make. And they had this, at the event, they had this huge screen behind them. So the idea was for them to do their choreography moves and for me to make animation, reacting or being triggered by whatever they were going to do. So it's not like an interactive piece, but it kind of looks like it is. And for me, the inspirations were, if you look at this page, it's like highly Bauhaus graphic design stuff, which I really love, but you know, so these are the screens from the actual piece, trying to take it further into a 3D environment. So taking it off the 2D canvas and having it react and animate in a three-dimensional way. I'm going to show you the piece that I worked on, so it's not the live event. The keying was done horribly, and the rehearsal was done in like a gym. So if that looks like crap, that's the reason why. But it should give you a good idea what the final piece would look like. Thank you. I'll just open up one 3D scene, which I think is probably the most interesting to look at from these, which is when the girl is popping and doing these motion tracked kind of things. So what I did was basically just looking at the movements that she was making, and I hand animated. You can see all the fucking keyframes, right? So I hand animated this, so no motion tracking or standing in a motion capture room. And then I had this 3D shape basically skinned to this body, as well as those red dots, which really just move along with her. So that's where the effect is coming from. So that's that. Okay, what else? New stuff. One of the most recent things that I've done was for Porsche, was the reveal of the newer Porsche Macan. In Holland they had this campaign where every 2 days they were going to reveal a certain part of the car, and people could enter the website and put their own car up for trade. And depending on the time that they did this, in combination with how expensive their car was and their argument to trade it, would eventually give a winner. So I had to make 10 reveals, and this is like a personal version of cutting those segments together. So yeah, this is some weaving that I've done. I can go into it, but I won't. I'm just going to show some last few images, what I'm working on now. This is a personal project. I'm going to have all of this react to music. I'm still talking with various sound guys on who will do the audio for it. So yeah, it's just playing with geometry, looking what looks nice. Finding interesting shapes, seeing how a wave pattern can react, and how you can take that further into visualizing sound. So, just playing around. Thank you.